But soil pH is determined by the comparison or the comparative concentrations of hydrogen and hydroxyl. So how calcium plays into soil pH really is more how calcium carbonate plays into soil pH. But when we measure the pH of anything, we're looking at what is the amount of hydrogen versus hydroxyl in the water. So if we were to take a glass of water and it's H2O, so it's got 2 hydrogen for every oxygen molecule in there, there's going to be a certain amount of this hydrogen that is what we call disassociated. So we're going to have hydroxyls and we're going to have hydrogens in there. And we're going to measure that when we check the pH. And that's the pH of soil, the pH of water, the pH of blood. You're always comparing hydrogen to hydroxyls in the concentration. If the amount of hydroxyls equals the amount of hydrogens that are disassociated, you have a neutral pH, and we call that a 7. If you have more hydrogen than hydroxyl in whatever you're measuring, then it's acid. And if you have more hydroxyl, we call that alkaline. Now, sources of hydrogen and hydroxyl ions are going to come a lot of different ways. Hydrogen is going to be a byproduct of aluminum out there as well. Strong acidic soils with those pHs that are below 5, aluminum becomes soluble and it binds to the exchange sites as well, and it creates acidity. So when we talk about hydrogen, we should add aluminum in there a little bit as well. We're looking at the 2 of them, both of those being what we consider acidic. So we can have a strong acidic and moderate acidic out there in the soil, but as we measure that pH, it's measured on a logarithmic scale. 0 to 6 is considered to be acid. 8 to 14 considered alkaline. Of course, 7 is a neutral spot in the middle. So it's on a logarithmic scale. So we have to remember that a 6 pH is 10 times more acidic than a 7. A 5 pH is 100 times more acidic than a 7. And a 4 pH is 1,000 times more acidic than a pH of 7. So from a perspective of looking at things, we have to keep that in mind. Where are we at on a scale? We think battery acid is very acidic. It's at that end, where bleach is at the other end. It's going to be a pH approaching 14, where pure water, neutralized water in the middle. If we think about beer and coffee, that's going to be acidic. So again, we could end up with an acid stomach if we drank too much of that. Hydrogen is a waste product of plant growth and soil microbes. So one of the things that the plant gives off is hydrogen as a waste product, and the microbes do the same. The fertilizers we apply carry some hydrogen, and this mainly being your NH3, your NH4, your hydrogen-based fertilizers, mainly nitrogen in this case. Acid rain, we do pick up some acidity from acid rain as well. When we think about acid soils out there, they cause poor nutrient uptake. As far as getting the nutrients in the plant, they cause some nutrients to become toxic. Mainly iron and manganese and aluminum will plug up the system of the plant. They can cause herbicide problems. So as far as herbicide carryover or poor performance out there, and they will lower the organic matter, in turn lower your holding capacity and destroy your soil structure. So acid soils have a detrimental effect on more than one thing in the soil. Maintaining and building organic matter, and we talked about that being where we need water, oxygen, temperature, food out there. When we talk about food, we're talking about crop residue, we're talking about nitrogen out there, and we're also talking about proper pH as far as what triggers the mechanisms to build that organic matter in the microbial population. So we think about microbes in the soil, and we say that in a well-conditioned soil, there'd be about 1,200 head of cows on an 80-acre field. That would, at 1,000 pounds apiece, that would represent the mass of bacteria that we have out there. That's in an optimum pH situation. So mineral soils, optimum pH in that 6.3, 6.5 range. If you let your water pH drop to a 5.4, you got 12 cows doing the same thing out there. So a situation you kill off your herd.